Do you have a tree that's wilting on you? You water it and still wilts on you. You put fish emulsion, sulfur, azomite, everything people tell you to put in the soil and still wilts on you. Well, hopefully your tree is not dead yet, because in today's episode, I'm going to be giving you the top 3 reasons why your trees wilt. And I actually have a tree that's wilting on me, and the reason it's going to surprise you. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have this tree right here. It's a black mission fig. It's been in the ground for about 2 years or so, but for the past month or so, it has been wilting on me off and on. And I really didn't understand why. So that brings us to the first reason, and that it's going to be water. I can tell you from personal experience, 98% to 99% of the times your trees wilt, it's going to be water related. As you can see, the leaves on this fig over here, they're wilting. Look, they're all droopy, down. For somebody that's not experienced at looking at trees every single day for hours on end, this tree probably looks okay to you. But let me show you a tree, what a fig tree is supposed to look like. So this is another fig right here. I forgot the variety. And as you can see, the leaves are all perked up. The tree looks beautiful, not droopy like the other one, doing amazing. And it's only about, I would say, maybe 80 to 100 feet away from that one over there. So one day, I'm feeding my horses over here, and then I look over, and I've noticed a tree wilting from a mile away. As the trees get older, their water requirements are going to increase. So I just shrugged it off, and I turned my watering system on. So this fig right here, it's on my drip line, and this drip line goes all the way down there, and it feeds all kinds of trees. But this one right here has a 4-gallon an hour emitter. As you can see right here, in 1 hour, it will put out about 4 gallons of water. And that has been enough for this tree for the past 2 years or so. So I turned my system on I turned it on at night, overnight, and then I just forgot about it. You know, things happen, and I knew the problem immediately, so I watered it. And I completely forgot about it. So I'm over here feeding my horses the next day, late afternoon, which is something that I do every single day. You know, minding my own business, not even thinking about the tree, because I watered the tree last night, right? All night long for at least 12 hours, you know? So that's 12 hours times 4, that's 48 gallons of water roughly. So that's a lot of water, right? So the tree should have been fine. And then as I'm walking back to my house, I just look over just to make sure everything is good to go. And guess what? Just from a mile away, I can see the trees wilting again. And you know, I had an episode. Like, I couldn't really remember if I actually watered the tree or not, if I turned my system on or not. Because, you know, I'm getting old. And maybe, you know, I'm starting to forget things. So I wasn't 100% sure that I actually turned the water on. And the way I turned that section on is this one right here. And as you can see, I don't have it hooked up to my timer, because my timer ran out of space. So this one, or that line that feeds that fig, I usually turn it on by hand. And all I gotta do to turn it on is turn this knob right here, and you can hear the water coming on. But you know, I wasn't sure, you know, if I had turned the water on, so I just assumed that I didn't turn the knob on all the way and the water didn't come on that night. So I just turned the water on again that night and let it run overnight. So the next day, you know, I'm just walking over here, feeding my horses again. Now this time I'm actually paying attention, because I was doubting myself the previous day. And then I happened to glance over late afternoon, and the tree is wilted again. Now this time, I know I watered the tree. I know I turned the system on, but one thing I didn't do, I didn't check the line. So I come over here, and I think the line was, it was right here. And then I checked the water, right? The water was coming out, but it was probably about half as much as what you see right now, because it was a little clogged with calcium. So this dripper right here I like, because you can take the top off and clear the calcium. So I make sure the water was running, and then I'm like, problem fixed, no issues at all, just gonna forget about it. So the next day, you know, I'm walking down, feeding my horses again, and then I happen to glance over, and I'm expecting to see, you know, a beautiful fig, happy, you know, just watered. But guess what? It looks just like this again. Now this time, I knew the water was coming on. I make sure the dripper was actually completely cleared. This is day number 3. So you know what? I come over here, and you know, this time, I'm wondering what the deal is, because I know it had enough water. Because remember, I've been turning the system on for 3 days now, and the tree still wilts every single day. But every single time I was looking at it, it was actually late afternoon. Now this time, what I actually did, instead of having the dripper all the way out here, I actually put it right next to the canopy, just like that. And then I turned the system on again for the 4th time for about 12 hours again. So the next day, the first thing I do, as soon as I get up, I come over here to check the tree, and guess what? The tree is actually looking great. It's not wilted. Some of the leaves on the bottom, you know, are yellow because it was wilted for too long, but the tree looks great, and I thought the problem was fixed. So I forgot about it again until later that day. You know, I'm walking down this way, feeding my horses again, and I happened to glance over at the tree, expecting to see a nice looking tree, and guess what? It's wilted again. At this point, I'm done. You know, this tree had at least, you know, 200 gallons of water in the past 4 days or so. There's no reason why it should be wilting by the end of the day. So if you have a tree, so that brings us back to the reason number 1. Usually when you first plant your trees in the ground, you have to concentrate on the root ball only. So if this tree was brand new in the ground, yes, you want to put your dripper right next to the trunk because that's where all the roots are. That's where the new root ball is. And that will dry out even if the soil around this area is completely soaking wet. That is the number 1 reason people usually kill the trees in the summer, because they usually build a berm like I did here, you know, 2 years ago. And they fill it up and then they forget about the tree for a couple of days. But you have to understand, the tree has no roots in the soil to actually drink the water. It will still dry and die even if the soil around it is wet. But this tree has been in the ground for 2 years now. There's no reason why I should have to water right next to the trunk like this. No reason at all. The roots should be out here, and even if I water in this general area here, this tree should be able to drink the water. But no, that was not the case. And then I started thinking. I remember back in the day, my neighbor actually told me this area right here used to be a wash. If you don't know what a wash is, usually when it rains, a lot of the water will collect in canal-looking things, and it will run off to a discharge area. So this was part of it, but not my entire property. And then I started thinking, you know, I have flood irrigation over here. So I know it's not the amount of water, because this area right here gets completely flooded with thousands of gallons of water. If you're not familiar with flood irrigation, here in Arizona, some properties have water rights because all this land used to be farmland. And my soil, it's clay. Clay takes a very long time to soak the water. So the best way to actually water, actually this soil right here is very sandy. But anyways, in general, our soil has a lot of clay. So when you dump a lot of water over clay, it takes a long time to soak the water. So the best way for farmers to water their plants is to flood everything. And as you can see over here, I have pipes. These pipes right here, every 2 weeks, I get water. And I can flood my entire property, or at least most of it on the sides and the back side over here, with thousands of gallons of water. So all these trees here get flooded, they get deep water, and they're happy, right? So that black mission fig over there should be looking amazing. It should be the happiest out of all my trees in my property because it's in a prime location for deep water. But it's not. And you know what's funny? About 4 days ago, I actually got flood irrigation. So here's the fig. As you guys can see, it's wilted. I got water coming in, so that's gonna make it perk back up. But this is what it's been looking like every single day I don't water it. And all this was flooded with water. And then 2 days ago, it rained. We had our first rain for the season, at least in my area. The first rain in months. And guess what? The tree is wilted again. Thousands of gallons of water. And on top of that, it rained. And guess what? That is not enough water for this tree. So what is the problem? Am I not watering enough? How much more water does the tree need? This is a specific area right here, for whatever reason, drains water a lot faster than anywhere else in my property. A lot faster. Let me show you. So this right here is a 5-gallon container full of water. Let me go ahead and dump it right next to the root ball, and you're gonna see how fast it actually drains the water. You can see the air bubbles. Look how fast that soil drains the water. That is amazing drainage, guys. That is beautiful right there. You will never be able to overwater your tree if your soil drains the water like that. Now I got some water over here. I got to dump because the mosquitoes are actually laying eggs in here. But let me show you how fast this area right here drains the water. The water just pulls on the surface and it stays on the surface because this area right here, it's mainly clay. And it's only about 50 feet away from where the fig is. So how can that be? Well, not all areas in your property are going to drain the water the same. And this is why if you have a tree nearby that's doing amazing, it doesn't mean the other tree is going to do amazing, because the fig that I showed you earlier, it's over there. The fig that's having issues, it's right here. And the problem that I'm having in this area, the water is just draining way too fast. So why didn't I have issues for the past 2 years? Well, you have to understand, for the first year or two, the tree was actually rooting itself in the ground. The root ball was a lot smaller. So whatever water I was giving it was enough to keep that root ball wet. But now that the tree is actually bigger, its water requirements are a lot higher. They're actually higher than the water that it's getting right now. And the reason why it's not getting enough water is because I'm not watering often enough. It doesn't matter how much water I'm giving the tree, the soil just drains the water so fast that it doesn't retain the water. So watering more, it's not going to fix the problem. The only way I'm going to be able to fix this problem in this general area right here is by watering more often. Now the problem that I have is, as you can see, I have my drip system right here going. But this drip system right here feeds all my plants down the line. So I have star fruit over there, I have groomy chamas, I got longang in here, and you can see the trees are doing great. The leaves are not wilted. And I have not watered this tree since we got flood irrigation, 5 days ago. It did rain a little bit, not enough to water the trees, but the trees are doing fine. So turning my system on just to water that one tree every single day is just not gonna work for me, because I'll be wasting water because my other trees do not need that water right now. So the way I'm actually fixing this problem right now is going to be by just watering this tree right here all by itself. So I have this 55-gallon container of water right here, full of water, and then I have my Rain Point irrigation system right here, which is a solar power irrigation system. It doesn't require a faucet, it doesn't require electricity, it's wireless. I actually have a review video on this one if you guys want to check it out. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna set my irrigation system probably to water twice a day. And I think I'm gonna water, I would say, for 30 minutes each time. This timer right here will go up to 1 hour. So there we go. So I'm gonna have it come on twice a day, each time for 30 minutes. Now this system right here puts out 11 gallons of water per hour. So every time that it comes on, it's gonna give it about 5 to 6 gallons of water. And this container right here is 55 gallons. So I'll be refilling this container, I would say, every 4 days or so, instead of having to come over here every single day with my 5 gallon of water right here. Since I noticed it was wilting, I've been just watering it by hand, and 5 gallons a day, it was just lasting for that one day, and then by the end of the day, it was actually wilting. So I'm thinking to containers full of water like this daily should do the trick for now. And then eventually, when the temperatures cool down, I'm gonna run another line for shallow rooted plants, and then I'll use that one to water this fig right here. So if you have any trees that are wilting on you, you water them and they perk back up, but then you water them again and then they just wilt on you, well, check the drainage, because it doesn't matter if the trees have a taproot system or if they have shallow roots. On fast draining soils like this area right here, they are going to wilt on you. So you're always going to have to water more often. And this is the reason why nobody out there can tell you how often to water your trees. Because my other fig on this side right here has the same line right here, which is a 4-gallon-an-hour emitter. Look. And this one here gets water every 5 days. And you can see how much bigger it is. And it was planted around the same time. It was actually transplanted from the front yard of my house. And usually trees that have been damaged that way by transplanting, they take longer to recover. But look at it now compared to this one. You can see the size difference. And it's not because it's too shaded. This area just got shaded right now. They're all getting the same amount of water. And I always wonder why this tree always struggled. And I always thought it was because the line kept moving away, or I was not watering often enough, or I don't know, maybe a gopher was eating the roots. So a lot of things can actually cause your tree to wilt, and that brings us to reason number 2. And that's going to be physical damage to the root system. So if you have a tree that has been in the ground for a while, and then you water it, and then it doesn't perk back up, 2 things happen. 1, maybe you waited too long. And then the tree is just, all the leaves are just going to fall off. That's why they didn't perk back up. But if you cut it in time, it's going to perk back up. Some of the leaves may get damaged, but generally they're going to recover. But if you waited too long, all the leaves are going to just drop off, even if you water. But let's say it's not water related. Let's say you water the tree, and then the tree, you cut it in time, just like this one right here. This is wilted, but it's not extremely wilted. And then the tree doesn't recover. It should recover within a few hours. Well, that means 2 reasons. 1, it's physical damage to the root system. It's something in the soil damaging the root system physically. Like in my area, gophers are a problem. They eat the roots of your plants. And they like figs because the fig roots are very juicy. And in areas where there's no water around, they will eat the roots of your fig trees just to get water. So I don't have any gophers in this area. I don't see any mounds. Initially I thought I had a gopher, so I weed eated this area. You can see it's clear now, but I didn't see any mounds. And normally you can see evidence of gophers, but no gophers is in this area. So that will be a physical damage to the root system. Now if you just planted the tree and the tree is wilted, well, you probably damaged the root system. So that's going to be plant shock. And if you want to learn more about that, you need to watch my video on plant shock, because I explain everything in details there. But that's mainly for newly planted trees, and that wilting will happen immediately after planting, not 2 years down the road. Now let's say nothing is eating the root system of your plant. You know the watering is right, or at least you fixed it, and the tree is still wilted. Well, that brings us to the 3rd reason, and that's going to be chemical damage to the plant. You spray something on the plant, something got into the root system chemically, fertilizer, pesticides, herbicides, fish emulsion, too much sulfur, something happened to the tree recently that was not there before, and that is causing the tree to wilt. So if that is the case for you, the main thing that you need to do immediately, you need to flood the entire area for a few days to flush all those chemicals away from the root ball of your plant. If it was something put in the soil. Now, if you spray your plant and it actually got onto the foliage, well, you are probably out of luck, and the only thing you can do is just wait to see if the tree is going to make it or not. But those are going to be the 3 main reasons why your trees are going to wilt on you. And as you can see, I'm always learning. The only reason I actually looked for this over here is because I've seen this happen at other people's places. I've been to other customers' places where they have like sandy soil, and their soils drain water fast. And based on their experiences, it made me think about my issue here, because I was watering the tree was perking back up, but then it was wilting again. And I actually waited for flood irrigation, thousands of gallons of water like this high over here, and then the tree is wilting just like 4 days later. That should not happen. That tells me this soil drains the water way too fast and it's just not holding any moisture. So I'm just gonna have to water this tree more often until I run a new line for my drip irrigation system. I figured it out finally. I just have to water the tree more often. It's not about the volume, it's about the frequency with fast draining soil. So if you have a soil that drains the water as quickly as you saw over there, you're probably gonna have to always water your trees frequently. And building the berms and flooding them and deep watering them, it's not gonna fix anything. And I'm living proof. This is actual experience. This is a real life problem right here that we just solved together. And I'm sure this video is going to help a bunch of people out there, especially those of you who swear by deep watering. It's not always the answer. And even here with my clay soil, deep watering all my plants, you just saw that tree over there suffering because the soil in that specific area drains way too fast. As always, if you haven't liked the video, shame on you. Smash the like button. If you have any comments, comment below, and I will see you next time.